Hi. So, probably gonna be the first longish video that isn't just me talking about me for a while, which is gonna be kind of odd because yeah, the I don't even know what anniversary it was, but 26th of November was the anniversary of me being on YouTube. And I had basically deleted every video I'd ever made. So, admittedly, most of them were just shit. And the ones that weren't shit, I basically didn't agree with anymore because, yeah, I changed a lot of stuff. My politics evolved and stuff, and I'm less of a dickhead than I used to be. But, yeah, basically, I'm better, but the world isn't, and we need to talk about that because I feel so very sorry for the world right now, despite the fact that I very much feel like my own life is not particularly in the best straits at the moment, because it's just like America, what the fuck. um okay, so there are lots of things to talk about. Um, I'm gonna start by talking about me because, well, it's my fucking channel. Right? And yeah, I did kind of delete my videos and go away for a while, and yeah, okay, I had basically been saying, I'm going to leave YouTube for about a year, and then continually going, I'm not, you know. I'm totally leaving! Finally, for good this time! Posts a day later. I'm going to leave now! Posts a day later. So it's not like it was particularly unprecedented, but still, in a way, it's like how I genuinely did kind of spend the first 20 years of my life basically hearing my mother on and off tell me, oh yeah, that's complete shit. We gotta go, we gotta leave. You know, I mean, obviously, my family is not so fucked up that my mother's husband was her dad. No, no, I meant my dad. Whatever. I probably did not make things sound any better by trying to explain it. Names are important, but I'm not going to say names because that sounds like an incredibly obvious way to get yourself accidentally doxing people. So, no. Anyway, I am very much aware that, like, in my own life, I have experienced the thing of somebody saying, we're gonna leave right now, definitely! And then nothing changes. And so the one day they actually do leave, it's like, oh shit, it's actually happening. Fuck. Right? So I can understand how me actually going away and deleting my videos and shutting down my Facebook and stuff like that, that would have maybe shocked some people. And I mean, in a way, it wasn't even really about like YouTube at that point. It was just that kind of my brain is a non-Newtonian liquid in the sense of, like, if you keep hitting it, it's gonna retain a solid form. But if you leave it alone, then it just kind of can turn to mush, right? Or rather, that's how it has been for the last 3 years. I mean, I think Michael Swaim summed it up when he was talking about something he interpreted from Kurt Vonnegut's book. That basically, like, if you're really in the shit, you don't have time to think about how in the shit you are because there's shit that needs to be done, right? That almost having depression is a very middle class privileged thing to have. Like, in order to be depressed and think about, oh my god, my life is so shit, what the fuck do I do? You need to have the time to think about that. And you can't be thinking, oh shit, I'm homeless, I need to find shelter, where am I going to sleep, I'm being told to move on, where do I get food, you know, like, if things are really bad, you don't have time to think about how things are bad. And so basically for the last year, for the last 3 years, I have had crisis after crisis after crisis. And admittedly, part of that is just that, you know, one half of my family is this angry rage beast of like, I'm going to manipulate you and I'm gonna be horrible to you because this is my way of controlling you. And the other half of my family is just someone who has a lot of anxiety issues, who will genuinely come home like twice a week just saying, oh my god, the sky is falling, we're all going to die. So it's kind of hard to not be constantly on edge and constantly like, okay, fighting fires, when, you know, you have the monsters scrabbling at your door and lovely people equally kind of constantly declaring, ah, terror is happening, terror, be aware of terror. And the thing is that my YouTube channel, yeah, there are trolls, right? But kind of the thing about trolls is that at a certain point they are self-defeating. You know, it's like capitalism or patriarchy, right? At a certain point, they piss you off so much that you're like, well, fuck you, I'm getting rid of you entirely, right? That's not the issue, right? It's the only reason that fucker who identified as Adam Godwinson even saw me at all was that I didn't just create a filter immediately of move to Nazi trash, right? I didn't just immediately do that. Instead, I was like, oh, just move that deliberately. And then I'm like, no, create a filter, boom, never see him again. And so, yeah, I needed to stop, because the thing is that, and I suppose it's the same reason that I needed to stop with the writing and sort of like abandon the writing. It's like doing YouTube is a performance. Even my kind of shitty, vloggy, long form, rambly, barely any jump cuts at all, because I don't actually feel like distressing you with watching me blow my nose, right? Even that kind of thing is a performance, because I've got to make sure that you can hear my voice. I mean, okay, I have a terrible slurry accent to the extent of like, that's why the Farsh Nuke exists, because I wanted to call myself the Farce Nuke, but I've got a slight speech impediment, and so when I spelt out when I was trying to sound out the name, and I was going, Farsh Nuke, oh yeah, it must be SH instead of, you know, CE. Although I suppose, considering where I spent my time at school, it's quite understandable that I would forget the C. Sorry, that's a very middle class English person joke to make. But doing YouTube, I was doing it as a reviewer and as a Let's Player and as someone who talks about politics. And I don't know if you've noticed, but those are three areas that are constantly fraught with controversy, right? I mean, basically, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do political news, and then it's like 2016 rolls around, and it's like Brexit, Trump, conservatives, fuck. And 2016 is also the year of people dying, and then 2017 is the year of people being revealed as horrible, horrible monsters. Um, I don't know. Presumably 2018 will be the year when we find out that people are actually cannibals. It's just insanely fucking ridiculous, the kind of shit that's been going on. And of course then that, you know, if you're like, I'm a journalist, I do reviews, then it's like, well, let's look at the films. And the films are kind of varying between schlocky, pulpy, expensive as fuck shit fests, or they are independently produced, pretentious, deliberate political art house, pay attention and wake the fuck up, motherfuckers films. Um, Obviously, that isn't describing the entirety of art everywhere, but kind of considering that sort of describes my left-wing sort of perspective. Like, I am the guy who is kind of quite pretentious, and like, you know, I went to university doing studying a course on writing, and so I care about the pretentious artsy films, but at the same time, you know, I went to university because I was inspired by Doctor Who, and so I am very much all about the, yeah, you know what, we've got a week to work on the script, we've got to we've got to have the Daleks in there because otherwise we're not going to have the copyright. We've got these actors, we've got these sets, let's just go and do this. And so in some ways, this is why I'm like, you know what, I can kind of forgive the Justice League. Like, it might be a snivelling pile of shit, I haven't seen it, but I can kind of forgive the fact that, like, you know what, there was an awful lot of stuff going on there. And yeah, maybe if they wanted to create better art, what they should have just done is said, you know what, Wonder Woman is the new beginning of the DCEU. We're gonna scrap everything else. We're gonna put Patty Jenkins in charge. We're gonna get recommendations from her because she's the only person here who knows what the fuck she's doing, and we're gonna get some good people in to make some good scripts, to direct some good films and make some good films. Like, I can understand how that is something that they could have done, they should have done, but I can also understand that media, from a certain perspective, is just get her done, right? just fucking, the show must go on. Keep calm and carry on. Yes, the sky is falling, bombs are cascading upon our heads, but we've got to get this done and get this out. And yeah, it's gonna be an expensive piece of shit that might ruin some people's careers, but we're gonna get this done. And so that's the kind of things that I follow. Like, I am someone who is interested in the pulpy schlock, but I am also someone who is interested in the very sort of left-wing political stuff. Even if I have found that I kind of have some slightly evil tendencies in me, in the sense of, like, you know, I watched a Let's Play of Bioshock and I'm like, you know what, this Andrew Ryan guy, if only he had some regulations to stop everything going to shit, maybe it would have been alright. He just needed some strong regulation and a good police force to protect everybody's copyright and property rights, and everything would have been okay. Somebody stop the Adam getting too much out of control. And like the fact that I will be literally reading, you know, left-wing books by Owen Jones and Paul Bugger, I forgot me. Not Paul Mason. Paul. Paul somebody. I'm not going to say the name because I can't remember. But I was like the whole thing of the Battle of Orgreave, and it's like this clearly the left talks about this as this horrendous day, and it's like this is the day that Margaret Thatcher defeated the miners, and it was horrific and terrible, and I totally 100% see that. But there's also the bit of me that's like a fan of regulated capitalism that is like, yeah, but she won, didn't she? like totally. Like, that's the death of regulated capitalism right there. That is the moment that capitalism dies, because it is like, yeah, we're gonna remove the restraining bolt, keeping this machine functioning appropriately. But still, I find myself kind of going like, yeah, good on you, capitalists, you smashed them. Even though it was totally evil and it also destroyed capitalism in the long run, like, yeah! Right. And also to the extent of, like, you know, not just being circling the abyss for some time, right? But, you know, I've been an anti-feminist, so I genuinely was like, oh, is he a Nazi now? Like, Nazi is where I draw the line. It's like, yeah, well, he might be an utter misogynistic douchebag, but I can still follow him on Twitter and be okay with that, because, you know what, I've been there, I've done that, I have isolated myself from the people I care about, because I was like, I've met some people on the internet who identify as feminists and they don't like me, and So, I suppose that's also why I kind of follow, you know, pretentious artsy left-wing things, as it's like, I'm very much aware of, like, I want to be better, I want to be more left-wing, but there is a little bit of me that's just like, kind of resistant, and is like being dragged along, kicking and screaming, going, no, but you don't understand, we need the free markets. But no, property has value, it is important, we must protect property, you must allow people to have private property, how dare you? And there is also, of course, the fact that, you know, I am someone who is like, yes, feminism is vitally important. Rape culture must be dismantled. The patriarchy is a terrible machine that must be destroyed. And yet, at the same time, like, if I could travel to the alternative universe where you could purchase pretty young, beautiful, submissive, masochistic women, I would in a fucking heartbeat. This would admittedly probably be a universe where I would be immediately shot on sight as a disgusting piece of filth, but still, like, well, I suppose that falls into the other kind of darkness that I've been the last year of, just like, the last few years of just like the gradual wearing down of the fucks, because yeah, you know, it's, you try and you try and you try and you try and you try, and at a certain point you realise, okay, Lucy, I keep trying to kick this fucking football, and you keep pulling it away from me. So you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm going home. You do that. You do your thing. I don't care. I'm going home. Like, at a certain point, you stop banging your head against a brick wall and say, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. If people want to actually go and deliver on their threats, then fine, right? I will accept. But, you know, it's, after having so many people scream in your face, no, but you must do this, or bad things will happen, for so long, you're just like, well, fine, let them happen. I don't care. Which, incidentally, like, that is so entirely a point of view that people cannot understand if they are not there, right? Because it's just, but you can't just give up. And it's like 3 years. 3 years of trying this, that, and the other thing, and just, you know. But I have made progress. I am pulling myself together. I mean, I have had a haircut. I have not had a proper haircut since fucking primary school. Seriously. And it was cheap enough. So I'm probably going to do it again. It was a pleasant enough experience, and there was no awkward hair, like no awkward small talk. Nobody asking me about my holidays. Which, considering that I have a mother who loves to talk about fucking holidays that she's going on or has been on, is like, yes, so glad. So glad that there was no talk of holidays or small talk in any way. It was just, how short do you want it? Short. Boom. Right? And yes, I have had my haircut, and I am drinking ginger beer, and this, by the way, got this from Amazon. Amazon delivers ginger beer to home. And actually, that's pretty darn convenient. Because no small talk. No small talk required. Which is good. And again, like, here I realise I'm getting into the territory of like, of where I am describing things that seem very normal to me, but that to neurotypical people will have people tearing their hair out going, why don't you like small talk? What's the problem with you? And the problem is that, yeah, I'm autistic, and I don't have much energy, and talking is a very, it requires a lot of conscious awareness on my part as an autistic person, because I have to be constantly thinking and imagining, like, okay, what is the mindscape of the person I am talking to? What sort of subjects are they likely to react well to or not react well to? And like, because I have to consciously know social skills and act upon them. And I have to consciously try not to be a dick. Which is hard sometimes. And yeah, that's not good. And I just realised I farted on tape. So yeah, that one troll fetish guy who was like, hey, can you fart on camera? Well, congratulations, you fetishistic guy, because I just fucking did. I mean, I suppose I'm not really shaming people about fetishes anymore, considering that I've literally kind of rebooted the entire fucking series of my writing, and started it again in the fantasy universe, because I just wanted to get away from the guilt and the garbage and the things and the stuff, and just have a chance to do things right and better, and not just shit. Although I am preserving things from the old canon and continuity that I liked, because there were some things that I liked, though they are problematic now, some elements, and so I'm going to reversion them and put out newer versions that kind of fit with the new continuity and that aren't as shit and are actually proofread and stuff like that. Because I mean, what I will say is I did proofread the first story of the new continuity that I'm working on, because that one is finished, and honestly, Normally when I write something, I'm like, yeah, it's really awesome while I'm writing it, and then the moment I finish it, I'm like, okay, this is shit, this is garbage, I utterly hate it. That story, I still liked it. I still felt it was good. It's very much its own thing, and it's very much got its own sort of style and rules, and it's not, you know, it's very definitely not reality, and it's very definitely not the kind of thing that I suppose when I think of the stuff that I like, that I would um it's different. It's different, but I think it works. And if you'll excuse me, I need to blow my nose and have some ginger beer, and then we need to talk about how the world got so fucked up. Because the world got so fucked up. So remember in 2016 when I was talking about how Trump had finally burst open the doors to the fact that because of his whole grab 'em by the pussy boasting, that he had finally burst open the doors to people accusing politicians of being essentially sexual predators of children. And I was saying, like, this is a good thing because now finally the sexual predators within politics can be gone after, and this is a problem within basically every government in kind of Europe and America. And like, this is serious, and this is a problem, and we need to deal with it. No, turns out it's 2017, and church pastors are defending a child molester because they're a Republican nominee for Congress or Senate or something, and it's just like it turns out that Trump is not the great klaxon warning sign saying, "Yo fuckers, there are demons in your churches, go fucking kill them." No, he's the guy saying, "Hey, Satanism is cool." Except, like, that's unfair to Satanists because, you know, Satanists are actually in favor of, you know, treating women like they're fucking people. And not, you know, engaging in non-consensual sex and being fucking monsters. The Church of Satan is actually a good deal less monstrous than the fucking Republican Church of Christianity right now in America. Because the Church of Satan actually respects women's bodily autonomy and respects that, you know, children should not have horrible things done to them. And meanwhile, the churches of America are busy defending Republican molesters and monsters and somehow along the way criticizing Nazis and molesting monsters has become political because capitalism used to be about the free market and about consumer rights and about purchasing power and about buying based on your beliefs and what you think is important and what you want to see, so that you can encourage manufacturers and makers and brands to be better at producing what you want. Now capitalism is about brand loyalty and how much you will get deep-throated by the brand that you love, because what you really want is to ensure that the other brand loses, right? And so we have got, I want to kind of rationalize it as though, like, the right wing are just always the pragmatists, and so kind of this is why the Overton window is very dangerous when it shifts to the right, because the right wing will always be the most willing to put up and shut up to do whatever it takes to get their people in power. And so if the minority of their number are saying, yeah, we're going to do the terrible thing, then the majority will just shut up and be like, yeah, I support them because I want my people in power and I don't want the other people in power. Like, I want to rationalize it, but you just can't, because it's horrible, because this is monstrous. And it's like, yeah, the Hollywood is outing all these monsters and saying, no, you fuckers, no, you fuckers, no, you fuckers. Trump boasts about committing sexual assault. Republican congressmen and senators will get accused of being sexual predators and groping, and people defend them. And guys, freedom of speech is meant to protect the people from the people in power. Freedom of speech is meant to protect the proletariat from the bourgeoisie. It is meant to protect the peasants from the feudal lords. It is meant to protect us as well. Okay, I'm not American. It's meant to protect the American civilians from the terrors of congressmen, right? That's what freedom of speech is about. Freedom of speech is freedom to speak truth to fucking power. Freedom of speech is freedom to say to Donald Trump, no, you're a fucking monster. You need to fucking get out of power and be in a fucking prison cell because what you are doing is fucking illegal. Right? Freedom of speech is the freedom to say to politicians, if you don't fuck your shit, if you don't sort your fucking shit out, then yeah, there's gonna be civil disobedience because we cannot allow monsters to be fucking running the country, right? That's what freedom of speech is about. But instead, freedom of speech has become about white men championing their right to go around saying they want to kill everybody else who they think is different. Instead, freedom of speech has become about virgins and dickheads and bastards saying, oh, I want to kill everyone because I don't like the fact the world isn't the way I want it to be. No, fuckers. That isn't what freedom of speech is about. Freedom of speech is not the freedom to be a douchebag. Freedom of speech is not the freedom to preach genocide. Freedom of speech is about the freedom to speak truth to power. Freedom of speech is about saying, no politicians, you do not get to fucking be monsters. Instead, freedom of speech, that banner is being used as a hammer to crack down against people who want to speak truth to power. And that's not right. That's not good. And frankly, at this point, it feels like, I mean, technically we've got like 12 days left. Well, I suppose it's America, so it might be, 10 days left until the Senate actually decides to vote on repealing net neutrality. For the love of all that matters in the fucking world, go to your senators, go to your congressmen, turn up in person, phone them, jam their mailboxes, make sure that they cannot escape from the fact that net neutrality needs to remain in place. Okay? Because that is freedom of speech, right? That is so much more freedom of speech than anything else, because freedom of speech is the freedom to voice an opinion. And it's not the freedom to voice an opinion without having one voiced back at you. It is the freedom to speak. So yes, you can say that you are annoyed at what is going on in a country, but someone can say back the criticisms they have to your arguments. Ending net neutrality is ending any kind of freedom to speak on the internet if you are American, because the capitalists will have control over your vocal cords, basically. They will have control over which sites get a decent speed of traffic, right? So yeah, I'm gonna say this now, right? If you are someone on 4chan, on 8chan, on Wizardchan, on any of those fucking chans, you want to go turn up in person to fucking Congress and the Senate, and you want to tell them to keep fucking net neutrality in place, because there is no surefire way to kill the sites that you love than by having net neutrality be repealed and having essentially Comcast and Verizon and whoever basically decide, you know what, these traffics, they're full of people who just are annoying, so we're going to make sure that these sites don't get any speed and that nobody can visit them, and that's just going to be the way it's going to be. And it's like, hey, if you want to have Netflix, then you can have it fast, as in a moderately decent speed, by paying us lots and lots of money. Otherwise it will be super, super slow, right? Net neutrality is about keeping the internet a protected place where companies can't just fuck it up because they want to make money. And kind of the sad thing is, I feel like the world's been going so fucking terribly so far that genuinely we might not make it this time. That we might not be able to keep net neutrality in place. So go badger your senators and congressmen, because we need to keep net neutrality in place. And yeah, just everything about American politics right now is depressing as fuck. And I mean, I'm English, right? In England, so I don't have to deal with the horrors of that. But at the same time, Britain is still in fucking Brexit limbo, and we're in the middle of Tory austerity. And oh joy, there's going to be another royal wedding, which means that there's going to be even less money to spend on public services. And yeah, my own personal hold. Excuse me, I need to. Sorry, yeah. Still dealing with the tail effects of a flu, which yeah, that's never fun. That never fun having flu. But yeah, I'm kind of still dealing with my own issues of like, well, first off, I did have a tryout to see whether I could qualify for essentially the equivalent of disability pay under universal credits equivalent in Britain, and not disabled enough. I don't qualify. It's technically PIP, but that's what it is basically. I don't qualify in the slightest. I'm not disabled enough to qualify for disability pay. And this, despite the fact that my doctor has signed a sickness note saying that I'm not fit to work. But yeah, the universal credit the people I have to go to for my social security payments to stay the fuck alive, they're kind of, well, this is the thing that kind of people don't realize, is that this getting money from the state is very much dependent upon who you are assigned to, right? And the thing is that I'm autistic. My social skills are crap. I don't lie. I'm not good, right? I do not. I can't do certain things. I'm not good under pressure. I'm not good with stress. And like, yeah, social skills are a thing I have to consciously be focused upon, right? Which means that if I'm stressed, if I'm tired, if I'm distracted, then I can screw up and make mistakes. And so, of course, universal credit is an inherently stressful thing, because basically these are the meetings you have to attend to keep having money for food to stay the fuck alive. And it's also because essentially my sleeping pattern does not exist, and it is a whirling dervish of who knows fucking what, to the extent of I don't fucking know what time I'm getting up tomorrow. I don't know what time I'm going to bed today. Like, days and nights are relative to me, right? That because of that, I'm often tired when I go to these things. And yeah, I'm also distracted because kind of it's a very distracting thing of like, also it's not okay. If I'm going to do a stressful, tiring thing, what I would ideally like to do is to turn up refreshed, having had my tea, completely chilled out, mentally in a good place to do what needs to be done, to talk through the issues and blah blah blah. The reality is that I get up after having had very little sleep, walk in listening to some podcast or some music, my brain spinning off stories after stories after stories. I have to deal with the nervousness of waiting, and as a result, my brain kind of, just to deal with the fact of I've got an hour-long walk to get to the fucking place, has got all of these different ideas spinning in the background. So I'm distracted. And basically, like, if you've never been in a universal credit center, it is what the right wing stereotypes communism as. Like, there are literally signs up around the place saying making work pay, stuff like that. You know, it's like, work sets you free, comrades. You know, it's a very Orwellian place. Like, literally, you are not allowed to wait for more than 10 minutes for your appointment. You will get shooed away if you are early. And the reason for this is that basically Margaret Thatcher got into power with this great promotional campaign saying Labour isn't working, because if you wanted to claim the what was known as the dole, if you wanted to claim universal credit back then, or you know, the equivalent of, if you wanted social security payments to not fucking die, you had to queue up outside, and people would. And so in order to prevent another such and suchy getting Jeremy Corbyn into power with the slogan, you know, universal credit isn't working, and queues of people outside. They prevent you from waiting early. And that's not good, by the way, if you have a mother who has anxiety and insists on turning up an hour early to everything. Because that's just like, well, she's fucked. Right? She's just genuinely in a mental torture of, but I must be early! Why can't I be early? Ah! Right? And so, of course, that sets me off, because I kind of, my autistic thing means that I'm empathic, and people radiate anxiety, and I pick it up, and it's not good. And when I'm walking in on my own, like, walking is not a thing you can time as precisely as a car, right? Because it's, you know, it's your own energy, it's distance and travel, and it's and so I turn up early, and it's like, if I'm too early, fucked. And obviously all of the letters are like, oh, by the way, if you don't turn up or if you are late, then your money may be affected, right? Like, they're very much kind of, if you are not here on the double, then you shall starve. It's very, very stressful. Very stressful indeed. And I've now recently been assigned someone who is like, okay, we're gonna set goals and things, and it's just like, no, I've been in this place for 3 years. I'm just trying to not fucking die. Right? That's all I am doing at this point, is I want to not die so my family doesn't get upset. Right? That's what I'm doing, is I would like to stay the fuck alive, please. And staying alive means I need money for food and drink. Could I have the money for food and drink to not die, please? And of course, this is the part where all the smart Alex little fuckers in the audience are like, well, you're fat, so you could stand to lose a few pounds. Funny thing, actually, I went to a dietitian, because essentially my endocrinologist recommended it, and they were just like, oh yeah, seems like you've got a lot of barriers in the way, so basically just take calcium and vitamin D supplements, because yeah, there's nothing you can really do. So yeah, things are not good in general. On the plus side, though, hopefully my abusive father won't be coming home for Christmas this year, although that unfortunately remains a bit up in the air. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Yeah. I should be expecting a Kindle to arrive, and if you're gonna complain of, how dare you, poor person, complaining about need to have fucking Kindle, like, guys, it costs £20 a week for me to remain alive. Okay, at least that's just. That is just food and drink, and that's not taking into account the fact that essentially I am living for free in a rented accommodation, in accommodation that my parents are paying for, and stuff like that, so I don't have to pay for things like the electricity and the water and stuff like that. It takes a certain amount of money per week to stay the fuck alive. You know, I don't know if you actually listened when your own fucking greedy ass people speak, but saving money is a thing, right? If it takes me £20 food every week to stay the fuck alive, then you know what? £100 Kindle isn't actually that much in the grand scheme of things. right? And that £100 Kindle is going to last me a lot fucking longer than 5 weeks, right? Like that's the nature of things. Like, and also, oh, by the way, our economy depends upon disposable income, right? Our economy depends upon people buying stuff other than the very minimum they need to live, right? I am, as an economic unit, doing more good if I buy things I don't need to live, right? Admittedly, paying money to Amazon maybe isn't helping things that much, considering that Amazon basically don't pay anyone fucking anything, and they seem to be heralding the change to automation of, like, literally turning people into machines, um, or at least making them slaves to machines, which actually probably isn't much better. Anyway, that's enough is enough is enough. And I'm going to go and, I don't know, listen to a podcast, do some writing. Yeah. Goodbye. Um, I hope we are all still here in 2018, and that net neutrality is still around in 2018. I'm not entirely sure I believe it though. Anyway, goodbye.